Hi guys, welcome back. Last time we did a walk around and I made a list of things to do for the rest of Feb. I've done some of those things and I've changed my mind on some of them, so I will show you where we are up to. Blue. I can see blue. So I said I was gonna rude. I said I was gonna dig these raspberries up and put them down in the food forest proper. I was putting that job off because I didn't think that sounded very fun, but I still intended to do it before they put on new growth, which they already have. So hey, I missed the boat. So I basically just reclaimed them here instead of actually digging them up and moving them. That was quite a job. They got quite overgrown last year and they didn't do great. We had a few raspberries. This is their first year here, so it's not the end of the world. But I think there were two factors that were a problem. One, there were a load of brambles in this ditch, the other side of them, and that just grew in and over, and I lost control of them here. But they also, all the brambles grew the other side as well, so there was a lot. We've knocked them back a lot this year, so I'm hoping that that'll be easier. Secondly, wind. We're on a relatively high point of our land here, and this bit does catch more wind than is ideal. But I've kind of decided that rather than just trying to hide everything away from the wind, because I'm going to move out of wind-free, or there's no wind-free spots, but I'm going to run out of low wind spots really quick, that I actually just need to start putting windbreaks in and reclaiming bits from the wind rather than trying to bung everything in the tiny spots that are already a little bit windbroken. Realistically, the things providing the windbreaks are the big trees, the hedgerows, things like that. So these are things that I can actually do. So I think that's what I'm going to focus on next. So that's another big project for me this year, is working on areas of windbreaks. I think what I'm going to do for that is probably going to involve a lot of willow, just because I have it so readily here. It grows so easily, and I know it can already deal with the winds that we get here, because it's like the only thing that will grow out in the open fields otherwise. So the raspberries are staying here, and I've also kind of changed my plan for this long skinny field here. I was going to, as I said, I was going to move these out of here and just have the trees that are already in here, but I've kind of changed my mind because I think that's a shame. That turns this bit more into an orchard than part of the food forest. So rather than moving the stuff that's not trees out of here, I think I'm actually just going to lean into this being part of the food forest even more and put more stuff in here. And I think what I'm going to do is have a lot of the more lower lying stuff planted up here, because I've got the chickens and hopefully this year the geese down in that part, and I can close that bit off and have this area for the things that I don't want them getting to. But if I'm thinking a bit more long term, I can keep the things that are always going to be a pain in the ass to have chickens around in this section, and then have the bigger, bushier, shrubbier things down in that area, which will hopefully, once they're established, deal with having chickens around a bit more. At the moment the chickens are away, but again I want geese to run through them as well, which geese shouldn't be eating too much of the stuff in my food forest, but they are big, they are going to clamber over things, and they might take a liking to something, so I don't want that to become a problem. This also just means that I can stay on top of those things a little bit more, so the things that require my attention a bit more, like fruit. I think the fruit bushes are down in the main food forest, which is fine, but I think I'll put my strawberries, my raspberries, and probably some herbs and things up in here as well, because they're a bit closer to the house, and I can use the space as a bit more of my hands-on, I'll be at her every day kind of space, with that bit being a bit lower maintenance. So this bit will always be relatively higher maintenance, and that bit can be sort of lower, and that's how I decide what goes where. So kind of feeding into sort of permaculture zones in theory there. I had kind of forgotten that I had a rhubarb here. This is just up from the raspberries down there. And it didn't do great last year. It really, really tried to live, but it took a battering from the wind. But again, it was its first year here, so I don't know, it did okay. But I think what I will do then is accelerate the need for a windbreak here, leave that rhubarb in here. I've got more that I started from seed last year, which I won't put with it here. I don't think it's the best spot, but I'm not going to move this one now. I think I'll just leave it here and grow a windbreak along here to try and give it a little bit of a shielding. I have also discovered that down here, the other side of these raspberries, I can get the mower most of the way down there, and with a little bit of jiggling and a little bit of chipping away at the edges of that bank a little bit, I think I'll be able to get the mower down all the way down past those raspberries, which will actually make the maintenance of that patch way easier. So the rhubarb did actually pop up, but because I'd forgotten it was there, there we go, there he is. It was all just grassy and messy, so I've done my best to take out the grass, and then I've kind of no-dig bed around it by putting this cardboard down and then a load of mulch on top. I did pop some compost over the top as well, so hopefully it will break through again. It was only just peeking up, so yeah, I'm hoping I haven't done too much damage there. Okay, so leaning into the idea of making this my sort of higher maintenance food forest space, I'm still going to be treating it with the same principles of the food forest. It's just going to be an area where I never let the poultry. So I think what I'm going to do, I was going to put my strawberries out there, but again, I can see this from the house, whereas if the chickens or whatever gets into my strawberries in there, I can't see it. I quite like the idea that this is going to be a bit more of a managed space, even though we're putting perennial things in here. So what I've done here is set up a new no-dig bed. It's slightly in the windbreak of this little bank here, as you can see, and so I thought that'd be quite a nice spot. Again, you have the same problem of the weeds coming out of this bank here, so I'm just going to stay on top of that. But otherwise, I think this is where my strawberries are going to go, and I'm going to bring those Welsh onions that the chickens have trampled in there and interplant them with the strawberries in this bed here. So I've kind of just used some old bricks just to edge out where it's going to go, put some cardboard down, and I've got some compost. So I'm going to get the strawberries in there. I think straight away they started growing in those pots, and if you watched one of my previous videos, I ordered some bare root strawberries in the winter. They came, I potted them up just into little pots, just as a temporary measure. So I think we're going to get those in here and let them start going. Otherwise, all I've really been doing is wheelbarrowing down loads of tractors, all the mulch off on the driveway. So I've just been wheelbarrowing it down load by load, and popping it around everything that's alive down here. Oh my gosh. Yes, so anyway, most of the bushes and trees that are already planted out here now have a good layer of mulch on them, so that's a good job done. I'm hoping that helps us with the weeds a little bit in the summer. I'm also hoping having a couple of free-range geese out here is also going to help a lot with the maintenance of just keeping the grass away from all the bases of the trees and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I realise I might have to protect the actual trunks themselves, but yeah, I am going to see how that goes and adjust accordingly. So for those two beds that I said I was going to put the strawberries in, I said one would be a herb spiral. I still think that's true. I think I will still do that. I think I will put some herbs up in this field as well. You know, it can't hurt, can it? I've got multiple small plants of most things, and I've got seeds galore, so I might start some and just dot them around the place and get some aromatics in different areas. But also I think I'm just going to use one of those, the one that was going to have my strawberries in it, which I now think with all the birds down here might be a bit dangerous. I think I might put some flowers in it. I've got a couple of lavender little tiny plugs I wasn't sure what to do with, so I'm thinking maybe that is just slap bang in the middle of this food forest. How nice it would be to have some lavender in there. I don't know how it's going to cope here. That bit it's not too far down the hill, so it shouldn't be too wet, but maybe I'll stick a couple up on this higher end and a couple in there, and stick some perennial flowers in there, some bits and bobs for the pollinators. So that's my plan. But while I still got daylight, I am going to go and get those strawberries into that bed, at least some of them anyway, and stop standing around chit-chatting. Starting to feel like spring. A little hole in this cardboard that's already down, so rather than what old me would do is just throw the compost in anyway, but new me, it's going to double up layers and save myself the battle later on once the grass just grows straight through. What I'm going to do, because it's out here, weeds are a big problem, as everyone has I suppose, I'm going to mulch over this as well before I plant anything in it. I've got half a trolley of mulch from where I was doing the rhubarb earlier, so I think I'll get that on here so that I'm not leaving any compost uncovered, because I've learnt my lesson from last year, made all these fabulous no-dig beds that look grand with my compost on them, but you know, leave them alone for a couple of weeks in spring and see what happens. They were just full of weeds. There's a chicken. So we didn't have any chickens escape for ages because we changed the barrier we were using, which seems to have worked, but we've included the nesting boxes in their current run, and I think they're just hopping up on the back of the nesting boxes and then hopping over. And now there's a loose chicken. Oh well, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to finish this first. Hi. No, this is 100% not for you. 100%. This right here is a naughty chicken. Oh, it's hard to be mad when they just come running to you and then let you pick them up. I'm going to put her back and hope she doesn't get out again today, because we've probably got about half an hour left of daylight. See if all the others are still in there. So these strawberry plants arrived in, I think, about December. I potted them up into these just as a temporary measure. And look how much they're already trying to live. So hey, I figure they may as well be getting their roots down where they're actually going to be, rather than sitting in a cold frame, as long as I've got deep enough compost here, which I think I do. It will inevitably rain within, 12 hours at this point. I may give them a quick water in anyway, just because that cardboard is fresh, and I'll have nowhere to go. So I do plan to interplant these with some onions, maybe some other bits and bobs, so I'm not going to go too tight with them, and then any that I don't have space for, I'll find another space. I think I'll zigzag them along, so put the next one about here. That makes them about, I don't know, 40 centimetres away from each other. They're all starting to put on growth now, so I figure I'll get them in. Bark mulch, honestly, it smells so good. It's like being in the woods. The goal, while I'm trying to keep the compost separate from the mulch, from this bark mulch right now, because I do want the bark to act as a, an actual mulch layer and stop weeds from germinating in here, and also just give a little bit more protection to these plants. I am fully expecting it to break down into this, and it will just feed into this compost, and I'll just have to keep sort of layering it up with compost and mulch as time goes by, but hopefully this will hold them over for this season. Oh, right, so the darkness really is drawing in on me now, so I think I will call it there. But feeling pretty good with the status of things at the moment. I have already taken some of the compost bags down to the annual garden and started reclaiming those beds down there, but still a fair amount to do down there. I've also started a few seeds and I've started incubating some eggs, so it's all go here. I'll catch up on all of those things in the upcoming videos, but I just thought I would wrap up that little last video's chat about the food forest and show you the progress that we're making. So yeah, it's all go, and I shall carry on showing you how we do. I hope that I don't change my mind again on this plan to have the sort of higher maintenance perennial stuff in this section and then the lower maintenance stuff out with the free ranging poultry in that section. I'm hoping that works out. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that I haven't thought about yet. Otherwise, I shall leave it there and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. And she's back out. What are you doing? Just another day.